Howdy, lab partners, and welcome, mortals, to Mondays in the Mortal Realms. I'm here, as always, with Steven. Great to be back once again. Today we're chatting men with dogs, women with dogs too, humans with dogs, humans with dogs. We're chatting Old World.
Yeah.
We're chatting grand strategies, battle tactics, and battle plans.
Yes.
Which I think, according to the new General's Handbook, are kind of the most exciting part. And after the stream today, not on stream, not a streamable game, but Megan and Steven are actually going to get a game in since he's down here, and we're going to look at their lists. And it's going to be a pretty funny game. I'm very curious to see how these two fiends of death, Grand Alliance, work into each other.
We are in a death meta now.
I think Mega's going to be very surprised, like we were just saying before the stream, to see a lot of the annoying things her army does happen back at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be fun.
Yeah, all that easy ride she's had killing spiders is all that's changed.
It's about to end. So let's hop into some of the Warcom stuff that came out this week. I think most excited for me of the releases this Sunday are these guys. What do you like about these? Or don't like?
No, I love these guys. Very down to earth, very, poor, just regular Joes in the mortal realms having to survive this crazy fantasy realm. And they have loads of dogs, and everyone loves a good boy doggy model.
These don't look like good boy dogs, though.
I don't know. I reckon they're really softies when you get to know them.
That's probably true.
They're probably super squishy and adorable, but then when you set them on something, they probably rip it to pieces.
Yeah, this is a really scary... they are doing a really good job of making mortal men, the mortal man army. Chat, let's know if you can hear the fly, because it sounds really loud.
We have a third host.
Yeah,
this giant fly.
let us know. I'm kind of curious, but they're doing a really good job, in my opinion, model-wise, of making this faction kind of look scary.
Yeah, they remind me of a bunch of characters in one of the Josh Reynolds novels, Dark Harvest, which is a really human-centric sort of horror story in the mortal realms.
Okay.
And this unit feels like it's from that kind of book, where it's like the people living on those fringe civilization settlements who are just barely holding on. They're being attacked by everything, and they have units like this that go out and set traps, defend the perimeter. But yeah, feel very gritty, very dark, kind of putting the grimdark back into Age of Sigmar, which I think it's always lived in more of a high fantasy mythological realm.
It has. There's not a lot of grimdark scariness to Stormcast Eternals.
No.
And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But these guys do make it look scary. Have you... I've picked up now literally one of each of the models that they said you can still play with. Of course, Megan Saray and I painted the Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Celestial Huracanum, and I have one Steam Tank. I'm actually thinking about picking up a second Steam Tank.
Ooh, that's risky, considering we don't know what the scroll is yet.
It is risky,
it could go the way of the Stegodon.
I know, it could, but I think it's going to be good. The other one I think I actually want to pick up before the big release is the Warband, which also has some dogs in it. You know what I'm talking about? Hexbane's Hunters, I think.
Oh, for Shadespire?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool models.
Yeah, that was the first look into this new design we got, really.
Yes, and the Witch Hunter characters that they did. The father-daughter.
Super cool.
They're really cool.
Super cool. They probably won't be good in the new book.
Probably not, no.
but still, I think I should get them.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think they're gorgeous models.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Darren Latham, he did his diorama for Golden Demon this year was a vampire versus, I think, the father. He did a really nice dual diorama. It's a beautiful model.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like, and what they said in that article about that unit is it's going to be a Warcry warband. So it's interesting that they revealed the unit as this is going to be in the army.
Yeah.
But it's first and foremost a Warcry warband, which I don't think they've ever done it that way before. Usually it's, here's a cool Warcry warband. Oh, also you can use it in your faction.
Oh, they've done
This is the first time they've done it the other way, where they've revealed it as Cities of Sigmar reveals on Monday, but they say very clearly this is going to be a Warcry warband in the future. So I'm very curious when they're going to arrive, if they're going to be for the big release window for the faction, or if they're going to come earlier or later. Because these Warcry warbands always have a sort of unique release window to them.
Right. Yeah. So this unit has a rule. This unit has the cover rule, It's like a little bit on the stealthy side. The rule is can't see them outside 12 inches or if they're in cover.
Yeah, and also if they're in cover, they get +1 rend to their shooting attacks and their melee attacks.
Which, if they're Rend 1, is very good. If they're Rend 0, it's kind of good.
I mean, if those dogs leaping from cover have Rend 2 attacks, that's pretty spicy.
Well, it's just their missile attacks, right?
Is it just their missile attacks?
I think it just says their missile attacks.
Okay. See, I just stopped reading halfway through the sentence.
Yeah.
I saw -1 Rend in cover, and I just stopped reading. I was like, I need you to say more.
I think... Yeah, we could probably... Yeah, I'm curious how this unit's going to work with 4 dogs and looks like 6 humans. No, 8 humans.
Yeah, and it looks like there's a mix. There's some little hand crossbows in there. There's a guy with like a big sort of like mounted like tripod crossbow.
Yeah, that's like a heavy weapon.
Yeah, so I'm curious what the profile of the unit's going to be.
That's a different base size. There's some different base sizes in here too.
Yeah, which is common for the Warcry Warband, and they just let you bake that in. They don't really like Hunters of Haunches is the same. Like you get different base sizes for them.
Oh right. The Askurgian True Blades have 3 base sizes.
Yeah, it's just
these guys look like they do.
Yeah,
too.
and I think AOS is pretty loose on the base size. They basically just say put them on the bases they come with, and so I think for a little skirmish unit, I like the variety in it. But yeah, these guys look awesome. I can totally see a couple of these units, having a couple ahead of your Cities of Sigmar forces, like the Vanguard, the Screens, the Skirmishers, like harassing the enemy.
Yeah,
these guys look awesome.
I can't say enough. I am not a basic human army guy. I at least traditionally have not been. But these guys are really exciting me. This vibe, like you said, this grimdark and Sigmar vibe.
Everyone is praying and hoping that this faction becomes the new poster children of the game. Of like, okay, Stormcast are cool, but what if we just focused on the regular Joes who live in this world and have to deal with gods and demons and monsters all day, every day?
I think we all want to see like a 4th edition box set that is not more Stormcast.
No, we want it to be people who live in a city and are just trying to get by and baking bread versus the Skaven coming out of the tunnels to murder them, and we want that as the new edition.
Right. And also, like I will say this, if it is Stormcast, I don't want a whole new wing of Stormcast. I want them to go back and like
look, Sigmar has his new Storm Chamber button, right? And if he's gonna hit it, he's gonna hit it. Like we can't stop him. That's his prerogative as the god of the Stormcast. But I also hope that if we don't get these guys as a Wave 2 for 4th edition, I really hope that we get a redesign of the Warrior Chamber and we get some new kits to flesh them out and we see them redesigned in the new sort of Grecian, Roman style of armor. Like, give me that.
I hope the AOS team doesn't feel the obligation that the 40k team feels, in which every new edition's box set must be Stormcast or... in 40k's case, Space Marines.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet.
No. Well, when you send Matt the email about how, broken Bone Reapers are, just add as an addendum on the bottom, P.S., please give us more humans and no more Stormcast, please.
Or I can be, you like Bone Reapers so much, Matt, why don't you just make them in the new box set?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a Wave 2 of Bone Reapers. That sounds amazing. I'll have that.
Now, the other big drop today related to Sigmar. This is a picture of people playing the Old World, because there was some Old World news today.
I swear this is a picture from, one of the earlier editions. I swear I've seen this image before in a book.
Of course you have. Now, I also do I like the way that they're like, you know what? Let's bring out the grass felt mat for this.
Yes.
I
give people what they want.
Oh, man. I, at one point, owned 2 of these grass felt mats. One of them I sliced into thirds and put one side on a board to have like a 3, kind of like the board we have outside. Only Steven knows what I'm talking about, of course, but
yeah.
And I put felt on the other side to have like a portable gaming table. The other one I gave away, and multiple people have told me that this was a dumb idea, but I just never wanted to use this felt mat again. I don't think I'm super excited for Old World yet, but one day I might be. I'm going to be disappointed I don't have that felt mat anymore. Mm. But I love the felt mat in the photography.
Yeah, me too. They're definitely leaning into, this game is member berries and nostalgia wrapped up in a game. So I love that they've gone whole hog and it's like, yeah, this is what people remember. This is what the game was like back in the day.
Yeah.
So let's just roll that back out.
Now, here's a question for you. You,
Yeah.
I think, looked into... I think you are more interested in this than I am. And I don't want to come off as somebody who's not interested in Old World at all.
Right.
Just as I always say, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to keep up with. I'm in deep in Sigmar. I have a lot of armies to keep up with in Sigmar now. I have 3, actually, kind of down to 2 armies to keep up with in 40k.
Yeah.
But still. Are you excited for this?
No.
No.
No, and I think...
So not the best YouTube podcast to listen to if you're excited.
No, if you want hype for the Old World, I'm like... I know Honest Wargamer, he has a dedicated podcast just for this game. But,
really?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, it doesn't happen obviously because there's not a lot of news. So
I was gonna say
all the time, but they do every so often.
I was gonna say for a game that doesn't exist yet. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's a common thing, right? People just start podcasts for everything.
Yeah.
But I think why I'm not excited about it isn't because the game won't be fun and I'm not interested in them taking all the best elements of all the different versions of Fantasy Battles and combining them into one super version.
Yeah.
What I'm not interested in is painting units of 30 spearmen. I don't want that anymore. My Dark Elf army used to be like 2 blobs of 25 spearmen, 2 units of like 10 crossbowmen, a unit of 10 knights, and I like that my Bone Reaper army in your living room is 22 models. Well, I like that.
Yeah, you have that option, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking you're not going to have that kind of option.
No, I think they made it very clear in this article,
Yeah.
even though it was fairly vague, is that they want it to feel like a rank and flank game, and to have rank and flank, you need ranks of infantry,
Yeah.
and I have no interest in painting 50 to 60 of the same dude.
I mean, this is one of the pictures that they showed. The other ones were much the same.
Yeah.
Just lots of models.
And I bet that's not even a 2,000 point army.
So, okay, the things they said, the kind of bullet points here. They said ranks are back, wide frontage is good. They said lots of weapon options are going to be like a thing. Morale not as punishing, and I thought this was interesting because I've never liked this mechanic where you lose morale and now your whole unit's gone.
Yeah, they made it sound like a tug of war where if you lose a combat, your unit like slowly retreats and then the enemy pushes that advance. So I'm curious.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool, and I'm very curious to see how they translate that to the tabletop because morale, I think, across all Games Workshop games, and maybe all wargaming, is like one of the hardest things to replicate.
To get right.
Yeah, because taking models away, making them retreat, it always feels weird and different, and you know.
Yeah, morale is always a problem. I mean, we've talked about when I was on Titans, we talked about it in 40k. Here we've talked about in Sigmar. It's punishing in Sigmar. In modern 40k, in 9th and 10th at 40k, it almost doesn't matter until you're down to the last guy or two, and then it's like this like exciting roll on a 1 or 2. But I almost think like Sigmar, it can be too punishing. Especially, it's either punishing or it's not at all.
Yeah,
There's
you either
very little
ignore
in between.
it. Yeah,
right?
you either ignore it completely or it completely wrecks your army.
And 100%, because when I was playing Daughters last year very seriously, it was all I thought about. I mean, it was not all I thought about, but it was a big part of it. I took the Triumph for it. Yep. I took Prayers to ignore it. I always had to figure out a way to get a CP to ignore it. Like, it's a big deal. My Beastclaw Raiders, don't really think about it.
No.
Never comes up.
No.
The Spider's a little bit in the middle, but also don't really care about it. So when you care about it, you care about it. I like to see something. I like to see a game system where they're if it truly is like a movement thing, that's super compelling.
That is really cool, and I think it fits
Pushing
into
people
the theme.
Off an objective or something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, like it represents your unit isn't butchering the opponent, but they are pushing them back from the territory they've acquired. I think that is an interesting. That is something that a rank and flank game where movement is very movement in Fantasy Battle is the most important phase.
Sure.
I mean, we say that about every game, but I think in that game,
in this game,
1,000,000%. So
I mean, even
to have
facing matters, right?
Yeah,
even
it
facing
does.
matters.
So to have that be a thing of if you win combat, your advantage is you push your opponent back out of important locations.
Right.
That is huge, and I think that's really fun.
I mean, I would even like that in Sigmar. It's just that, or 40k. It's just it's a little harder to do.
Yeah, it's harder to manage
blocks of stuff. But imagine everybody having to move back 3 inches, like.
Oh man!
Like
a reverse pilot.
I'm not going to get the objective now.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
It's very compelling.
Right? How many times have you played a game where you use piling to get yourself onto an objective to then contest? If you could, and again, a lot of skirmish games do this. Like MCP does this, Shatterpoint does this, part of the things that you can gain from winning a fight is pushing your opponent away and out of position. So it is really crucial. So I love the fact that they are hinting towards that. Again, this article's super vague. It's like, we are kind of looking at this stuff. So it's hard to tell what it actually means, but it's very promising. But really, for me, the kicker for this game is, will I play it or not, is how many models do they realistically think I'm going to invest in to play it? Because, like, you look at Sigmar, I recently just bought 6 Stalkers to add to my army. That was like $100. If they're like, okay, you can add a unit to your army, but it's $60, but you need 10 units to build an army, because one of the big problems with the old fantasy battle by the end was just the cost of entry for an army. Armies would cost in excess of $1,000 because the armies were massive.
Yeah, I think we all out here in following GW Sphere, I think we all kind of see what we think is going on with Heresy and even Epic. And it feels like, they're trying to apply to who I have maybe unfairly in the past referred to as grognards. But they are trying to, it's like a nostalgia thing. They want to get a foot in on the historicals, it feels like, market, but I don't really think they think that. Like, I don't really think they're like, man, Muskets and Tomahawks, which is an actual historical game, is like killing it, because it's not.
No.
We know it's
not. They own, like,
we've gone
3 of the 5 top war games, period.
Right.
I don't think they're like, oh, we need to fill a void that no one else inhabits.
And in that regard, I actually think maybe I commend them, because I actually think that they're doing entire lines for the sole purpose of fan service, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like the fact that they're redoing all the Tomb King kits, it does have me excited, because I love Tomb Kings, and like those kits came out during the last edition and barely got their time in the sun because the game ended. So to have them come out again, have a new lease on life, have a game system they're going to be part of for a long time, that is really appealing. It's just, for me, it all comes down to they haven't talked about what the army game size is going to be. Because you look at 10th edition now with 40k, I was super surprised at how cheap everything is in that game and how big your 2,000 point army is in the new 40k. Whereas AOS, I feel like, has a really good balance if you can do an elite army and you can do a horde army, and both can coexist in the same space, because the points feel like they're at a right value.
Although AOS has dropped points like crazy. What do you think, 10-15% across the game?
Yeah, but I don't think it's changed the size of armies dramatically.
Kind of not, actually.
Yeah, I think they've been very smart.
I don't know how
that's...
I don't know why you're correct, but you actually are correct. It hasn't felt too different.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few ads. Bryce says, Bryce Kingman, we know this guy. What if cities become like Imperial Guard and you still need a huge amount of dudes?
Does Imperial Guard need a huge amount of dudes? The Imperial Guard armies I see are just tanks. Tanks and mortars.
I my guess is that it'll be similar in that you could take a huge amount of dudes, or you could take tanks and mortars, or fusiliers, whatever.
I mean, if they get a Sentinel, I'd be like, well, good for you. Good for you, Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, I was seeing like a log. I was seeing a log Sentinel.
Yeah.
I guess Saray has decided that we are list submissions now, and it's okay.
What's that?
We can do list submissions. Here we go.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, 15K. He wants to do he's doing some cities. Some slaves to D.
Yeah, okay.
And he wants to do that. He wants to go knight forward.
Right.
15 Chaos Lords, 12 Vanguard, Chaos Demon Lord. Should I drop anything for some cheap units? I want to keep my Mounted Knights theme. No.
No?
The only thing I actually kind of think the only thing I would think, I'm not in love with Knights of the Empty Throne. I'm not in love with you get to have a Vanguard General.
Why not?
Because you don't get a command trait.
Right.
Although they don't really have the best command traits to begin with. And it's sort of like, he gets the 5-up rally on Vanguard, right?
I mean, the question here is, what are the unit divisions here? That for me is my question. Are we talking 3 units of 5 knights, 3 units of or 4 units of 3 Vanguard? You know, what's the distribution here? Like, where is the hammer?
Yeah.
Is it 10 knights in a blob?
10
is it 6 Vanguard in a blob?
Yeah. He's got to do 10 knights and 5 knights, and then 2 6 Vanguards, I think.
Okay.
And I actually, over the Chaos Demon Lord, I'll be honest with you, I like either demonic mount or
Carcadrak.
Carcadrak.
Carcadrak guy is awesome.
Better than the demon lord.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The demon lord, chaos demons are just like, get out of here. Chaos demons are just like not that chaos demon lord. What does that mean?
What's a demon lord? Is that the demon prince?
That's what I'm thinking.
The big guy.
Yeah.
I think he's good. I think there's game with him.
He's okay.
But Carcadrak guy is just awesome.
So he's doing all small squads, but I think Saray, you want to do one big squad of knights. At least one big squad of knights.
I think out of that mix, you want one hammer unit. You either want 6 Varangard or you want 10 knights. Something to just deliver an alpha strike.
Yeah. You sort of don't need cheap units if you have 3 units of Varangard.
No, not at all.
But you definitely don't. You absolutely want either demonic mount or Carcadrak because you want to fight.
Yeah.
You want some fight firsting stuff, and you want the sequencing.
Maybe the Lord is there to be a wizard. Maybe that's having a spellcaster.
So that's also the only other thing I would say is maybe if you dropped three Varangard, you could buy a lot. You could buy, I think, 2 sorcerers.
Get a guy on a disc. The Gaunt Summoner.
Gaunt Summoner,
pretty good.
People love him right now.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. So I think there's some, yeah.
Yeah, I think with Sigmar, you've always got to factor in, you might have some redundancy there in the units, and it's worth having some heroes that can do, especially now with the Andorian Lord stuff, you probably want to put some characters in there. Drop a unit of Varangard.
Does Gaunt Summoner disc count as having a mount?
I don't know, and I've stopped trying to question the mount ruling because it seems completely arbitrary.
Yeah.
Have we talked about that in this stream yet? I feel like we need to anoint this podcast with the Slan is on a giant floating chair. It's massive. He is not a mount.
But the stonemason is.
The soulmason has a chair that's very small, but it has legs. And it's a mount.
That's a mount.
And I'm furious.
That's a mount. Yeah.
Furious. Anyway.
Soup says, what are your thoughts on what's been announced about Magic? Reads to me like a version of what's happened to Psychers in 40k, good in some ways, bad in others. He's talking about the old world. This actually was my last point, and we kind of skipped over it, and I literally have here on my thing, Magic spread throughout the phases, sort of like 10th edition 40k Psychic.
I mean, that is a big shift from Old World. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that they would make such a radical change, because I thought...
The whole purpose was to be more.
Yes, I thought they would lean into the winds of magic. Like, oh, my magic phase, there's magic. In your magic phase, all the magic's gone away because the wind has changed. Right. Oh, sad times.
Yeah.
So that very much surprised me. And again, I think the article is very vague. It's hard to really know what they mean by that. So I'm very curious to see what that actually means. If it means that your spellcasters are just doing their casting in different phases, I think that's okay. Because I think it gives them more use and more flexibility of positioning and where they need to be when they do their things. So if combat buffs are cast before the combat phase but after movement phase, that gives the wizards a bit more tactical flexibility to be where they need to be, and that I'm okay with.
I've yet to play 10th at 40k, and in general I don't play psychic heavy armies. That's not true, I play a Suryani. But do you like it in 40k?
It definitely feels less impactful.
Yeah.
I don't like the notion of all the psychers feel very similar, of just like you're just rolling a d6 to see what happens, not a 1, you get hurt. Like when I played my second game, Mephiston blew himself up.
You rolled a 1.
I rolled a 1 twice in a row and did 3 wounds to myself twice in a row and failed all my field of pains twice in a row. But it's like, it feels weird that someone, like a character like Mephiston...
That sounds like you, though.
Or maybe.
That's like a Steven thing.
That does sound like maybe a me
That's
thing.
like a Steven thing. Like on a single die roll, you're no good.
Yeah, sure, that's true. But like, or if I have to roll 5 ups, I just can't do that. That's just
you can't do that. But you do okay if you're like trying to hit on a bunch of 3 ups.
That's true.
Yeah, you're okay.
But the fact that someone like Magnus the Red or Mephiston, who are like notoriously famous, incredibly powerful psychers, they have the same like chance to fail that someone just like a random librarian does or a random warlock, and that feels a bit weird to me that those casters don't have like different mechanics to them. It feels a bit like everyone just got put into the same bucket.
Yeah.
But I'm like, these people are not the same.
Maybe that changes as Codex is coming out? I don't
know.
Hopefully.
Also, it's limited to you don't pick abilities really. It's just like you get the abilities on your scroll, and that's kind of, you're done. And that feels a bit not as interesting. I like that in Sigmar we get
getting to pick one. Yeah. Okay, let's chat some GHB.
All right.
Couple weeks ago, I know, let's get our study books out. A couple weeks ago, we left off And we haven't really talked grand strategies yet. And I have to say that new grand strategies, new battle tactics, I have found these to be the grand strategies to me are I'm finding them harder to achieve. I've mostly been playing one army since this new book has come out, and I think that these have a lot, like they seem to have one condition like that's doable, a little tough, and then it's like period. Here's a whole nother second condition too, right? With the 6 in here, control the Nexus, which is 2 friendly wizards. This is the one I've been taking within 6 of the battlefield. Spellcasting Savant. This is one you're taking actually on your list, right? No wizards in the battlefield is Slaughter of Sorcery. Baron Icescape is destroy all the artifacts of power your enemy has. And no enemy units within 6 inches of the battlefield.
Why is that there?
Why is that there?
Why is that second sentence there? Like,
It's
that first sentence wasn't hard.
But that's the thing. I mean, like, it's sort of tough because just killing everything that has an artifact, like, that could be really hard.
Yeah.
But it could also be really easy. But either way, they're like, and nobody's within 6. Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm talking about. That's hard. Overshadow, they have no battle line, and you have 1 battle line, right? Yeah.
If you complete this grand strategy, enemy battle line units are gone and at least 1 friendly. So you can have more.
A lot of these, and this is not, listen, I don't have a huge problem with what I'm about to say. A lot of these are things like, I'm going to Old Town Throwdown in a couple weeks. I don't feel super comfortable with many of these. Going through 5 games, I don't think there's any of these I can confirm I can get 5 games in Old Town Throwdown. Battle line, I mean, some armies are only like this army Saray has just told us about. Does that makes that's all battle line.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna kill 15 Chaos Knights and 12 Vanguard.
Nope.
No army's gonna do that. Like that army will never give up this grand strat.
Croak will kill that.
Croak will kill that?
Yeah, Croak will kill that. Croak will kill that before turn 3.
Oh my gosh.
But let's read the last one. So we've gone through all the 5 except for the 6th one, which is Magic Made Manifest.
This is the Incarnates or Endless Spells one.
Yeah. And this one, I'm like, you can't possibly pick this.
I feel that way almost.
Just absolutely impossible.
Yeah. So I think a lot of factions are going to be hunting for their stuff in their book. I know Soulblight has some good stuff in their book. Bone Reapers? No.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah?
There's some. But what I will say about this, the grand strategies and the tactics, is I think what they've done here, and I hope that tournament organisers pay note, is they've given you 6 grand strategies and 8 battle tactics, and in addition to your book ones, I think this book puts to rest the notion of tournaments should ban book things. Because I feel like now you have so many options of what you can take that it kind of nullifies that argument of some books have and some books have nots.
Yeah.
Because they've given you an abundance of choice and your book ones. And I think some of these are doable, some of the book ones are doable, depending on the book, depending on the army build, depending on the strategy. I think there's enough choice now where we should just let books be the books. And the self-filtering of, okay, you can have your war scrolls from your books and your points from your books, but you can't have your strategies and you can't have your tactics. I'm like, the book is the book.
Right.
And I think the fact that they've given us more now is the answer to that of like, now there is just an abundance of choice, so everyone should just get to choose from all of their options.
We've seen a little bit of that locally, but we haven't seen a ton of that. Let me ask you this. You're playing Bone Reapers. You also have a Stormcast army.
Yes.
You like.
No.
You have a Stormcast army.
I have a Stormcast army.
You play Daughters.
Yeah, I have Gits.
Yeah, you have Trolls. Let's talk about Trolls. What do you like with Trolls? You take any of these with Trolls? You killing all the wizards?
Yeah, I would. I mean, with Gits, it's really...
You're too slow to kill all the wizards, right?
No, I have pretty decent magic range. Like, wizards are pretty easy for Scragrot to pick up with Jaws of Mork.
Okay.
I think with the...
But that's still risky, right?
Well, sure, but I mean, I think grand strategy shouldn't be a guaranteed thing.
I agree.
Like, they should be they are meant to be a ultimate tiebreaker.
I agree, I'm just not used to it.
Well, no, but I think the
is,
trend
right?
we've seen over 3rd edition is the strategies and the tactics have got successively harder.
Yeah.
Because they don't want it to be every single match without fail, more or less, unless someone screws up, that you're getting 5 tactics and a grand strategy.
Yeah.
They want it to be you're making tactical choices in the game, and they are hard, and you have to shift what you're doing to achieve them, and then you're sacrificing plays to get the strategies. So I think it's inherently built into the design that these are tricky to get.
I think I'm killing all wizards or Baron Icescaping.
I mean, are you killing all wizards? What if you play against Archeon? You killing all the wizards then?
I was going to say with Beastclaw Raiders. I think I'm killing all wizards or Baron Icescape with Beastclaw Raiders. But I have Hungry for Sandwiches.
Yep.
Which is more formally known as Ready for Plunder. Which is just what was it used to be called?
I forget.
Take what's theirs.
Take what's theirs, yeah.
So I'm just taking that. But I actually think my Beastclaw Raiders could pants all the wizards on the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, Lumineth, I think, could do Control the Nexus fairly comfortably. They just move their castle forwards and just sit on the middle. I think Seraphon could also do Control the Nexus quite comfortably. They just roll up their Slan Blob and their Saurus Guard and just go, okay, come at me.
Control the Nexus weirdly seems almost like the easiest one to me.
I think for wizard-heavy armies, it is, but I think you have to be... Again, I think each one of these favours different playstyles and different strategies. Like, Kharadron Overlords are never doing Control the Nexus.
Who's an Antorian Locust that's not dying?
My Bone Shaper. Because you gotta really deal 35 wounds to him to kill the Immortis Guard that are protecting him, and then him.
And then him. Yeah. Yeah. Something like a Immortis Guard. Or, that's actually a great one for you. So I like these. I'm totally in agreement with you. They shouldn't be that easy. And, Meg and I, we were packing up this game we had going on here, but I just explained to you before, I'm going to lose it because I'm going to have a hard time controlling the Nexus, but that's how it should be, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, grand strategy shouldn't be a dead cert thing.
Now, the big thing we want to say with battle tactics, the first thing we want to say is that Steven and I've credited Steven 2 seasons ago with Against No Odds, and before that we had Hold Hands and Run. Last season we had Cunning Maneuver, and these were all of course I'm talking about the obvious turn 1 ones to do. And you made the point right before we started here today that they have gone progressively harder. Hold Hands and Runs was kind of silly. Against No Odds, what was Against No Odds?
You had to... I think it was like you had to control an objective that your opponent wasn't near, or...
Something like that.
It was something really, that's why it was Against No Odds, because it was so... really easy to trigger that it was almost, there was no risk to it whatsoever.
And of course Cunning Maneuver was okay, but it often came with a risk of like throwing away this hero right away maybe, or what is the new? I've tossed out what I think might be the new.
So my thing is Reprisal. You complete this battle tactic if... sorry.
That'd be great.
Not that one. Not that one. Number 1.
Turn 1, Reprisal.
Number 1 for turn 1. There you go.
Intimidate
the invaders. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if there are more friendly units wholly outside your territory than there are friendly units within your territory.
And a lot of armies want to do that. Like Saray's all mounted.
Yeah.
Chaos Army is going to do that. Daughters of Cain are going to do that. I think your Trolls are going to do that.
Again, I think the tricky thing here is between the two of the ones that we picked is it very much depends on the battle plan and the layout of territory. Because some of them, the territory is the whole board divided, and that is incredibly difficult.
This is all a good thing and an exciting thing too, by the way. It's not so obvious. My Beastclaw Raiders want to do this. My Spiderfang don't want to do this. They don't even want to leave their territory most of the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
So kind of interesting. I actually tossed out that I'm finding that Magical Dominance is a good one. Because in a lot of, as you said, it does depend on battle plans. A lot of them you can, if you know also you're going first, and you can actually just hide.
Yeah.
Or not hide, but be outside.
Stay out of the dispelling range.
And I actually think that this General's Handbook really makes the person who gets to pick if they go first or second, it is now truly only down to a double turn. That's it. That's the only, because so many of the battle plans, so many of the just core rules, including the bonus cast or the bonus command point, really favor whoever goes second.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got distracted by Saray's description of us.
Oh, yeah.
Zach is an AOS GT winner and Steven is British. Just fantastic.
So, I think these are great. Bait and Trap has been cool. 2 units retreat, 2 units charge. The one we have gotten in trouble with, Megan has gotten in trouble a couple times in some of our games, was what's it called? The one where you kill things, and then also led
into the maelstrom.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. It's a tricky one.
You can't kill everything.
Yes, so you have to charge a hero and a battle line unit, and one of them has to be still within 3 inches of the enemy.
Within 3, yeah.
I actually think Surround and Destroy, talking about like funky deployment shenanigans.
It's a good one.
Surround and Destroy is a really good turn one.
It's a good one. It has a caveat though to it, which is that unit must be on the battlefield when you pick it. So you're not doing any deep striking shenanigans with this one.
Yes.
You can do like Great Green Hand of Mork or something like that, but they have to be on the battlefield.
But if you know you're going first, and you know that you're out of range of like any opponent's Alpha Strike or reach of anything, you could easily deploy
get this.
2 units on your side, the one at your back, and then get it, and then move like reform for turn 2 and just have it complete. And I think that could be really key for a lot of armies, especially fast armies. Like I see Sylvaneth doing Surround and Destroy almost guaranteed every game.
Surround and Destroy is also interesting because with my Spider army, I actually took the Skitter Shard out of the army because so many battle tactics rely on these like suddenly be somewhere movement shenanigans.
Yep.
And this season, not so much. There's no there's no behind enemy lines. There's no desecrate their land.
Yeah.
You really are not being incentivized. This is the only one that is kind of like a movement battlefield placement thing.
Yeah, the only other one I think that you could fit into that bucket is Bait and Trap, where you have to retreat 2 units and charge 2 different units in.
Yeah.
I think because that also involves movement shenanigans.
And that actually is not always as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, and what I think is really good about the design of this is none of them are Andorian Locust focused. Locust focused. They are all very generic. Every army more or less can do them. I think Endless Expropriation is probably the one that's the most niche, where it's doing things to opponents' endless spells or incarnates. But there's 8 of them now, which is great because there's way more choice. But they are very tricksy. They've definitely made them more complicated. You can't just do a basic thing and be done.
Yeah.
They all involve doing one thing and then another, or using multiple units, or I think the most flexible is Reprisal, but even then, it has to be a friendly general that was killed.
Yeah.
But you can trigger that any turn after that effect has happened.
Which is nice.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a great suite of battle tactics. But again, I think you add these to the usually 6 that a book has. Most armies are only going to be able to viably do 3 of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you add this, you've got 11, and you only have to do 5. So I think it gives you a good range and a good spread.
I think so too. I like it. How are you feeling on battle plans? I kind of want to know. You think you have any standouts? Anything you've particularly? What did you play yesterday? You played a game yesterday.
So we played Geomantic Pulse.
I played this one too.
We just started at the beginning. I really like this battle plan. I like that it doesn't overly promote turn 1, like flooding the board.
This
like
is
you
the
only
one
get 3 points.
Moves across.
Yes, but turn 1, none of them are active, so you can only score a maximum of just 1 and your tactic in turn 1.
Yeah.
Which I like. And then the pulse moving across the board, it has a very good comeback mechanic to it. So if you're dominating on one side, it leaves your opponent able to reposition,
sit there and wait.
Yeah, and wait because objectives are still sticky in this scenario. They haven't changed. So you can go and claim objectives, which aren't scoring you anything early game, but then later on, suddenly they're worth 3 points, 1 point. So I like this. We had a really good game yesterday. I played my friend Brad. He used Skaven, which absolutely love this GHB. Skaven love this book.
Yeah?
They're like, oh yeah, magic that can kill us? Yeah, that's just every day for us.
That's normal.
Yeah, he had I think he had 7 characters in the list. 4 of them were double casters. There was Hoarfrosts and all sorts flying everywhere. Skaven loved this
pretty
book.
Good. Yeah, Hoarfrost is pretty good in Skaven, huh?
Yeah, Plague Monks with Ren 3. Turns out they kill pretty much anything that they touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great game and it did feel very close. There was a very good back and forth. I got the upper hand early, but then as the pulse moved across the board...
You had your Bone Reapers?
I had my Bone Reapers, yeah. So yeah, I really like this battle plan. I think we'll see this in most tournaments. I think tournaments will take this one.
It is in Old Town.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one in Old Town that we've played, Meg and I played, is Power Flux. I actually like this one a lot. This is page 38. This one is where you're either controlling A and A or B and B.
Yeah, I like this one too.
The person going second is picking, which is cool. There's a lot of that in here. There's a lot of, do I actually want to double turn my opponent right now? Because they're going to pick this and I'm going to be in trouble. And this one's great. You also get just points for killing an enemy wizard. I think actually in the game Megan and I played, we forgot to do that. And then you also get points for extra points for controlling with Antorian Locust. So one of the few that actually kind of does that.
Yeah.
But this one was fun. We did this one. I do like this one a lot. I like the ones where the person going second kind of gets this big, like, perk that really makes double turning. You really think about it.
Yeah, even the generic one that you get with the book, where if you go second, you get an extra cast and dispel. Yeah. I found that incredibly powerful when we were playing. It's a really useful effect. What I like about the battle plans overall is there's a really good mix between battle plan scenarios that have 2 objectives and ones that have 6. And it does the whole spread of everything in between. I think that's really, really key. Because I think, if good tournaments, like tournament organizers, they take a mix, it's going to mean that army-specific builds that favor one or the other can't dominate. Because if you're really good at holding just 2 objectives, because you're very elite and very small, you're going to really struggle with the 6 objectives one. So I think having a good spread of the different objective sizes, I think will make tournaments really fun.
I like the 6 objective one that you get to... the person with less victory points gets to remove 2.
Yes.
That's intense.
I really
And there's
like
no
that.
limit to that, by the way. They could all be gone.
Yeah, they definitely got rid of the notion of primary... I can't remember what it was in the first few handbooks, but like primary and secondary objectives where the primaries could never go away. Yeah. Now it's just like, all bets are off, all objectives can get removed.
I think I'm also super interested... not super interested. Here's what I would say. If you actually want to ease into the handbook... and lots of times people want to do this. They want to ease into the handbook because of all the other rules. Mm-hmm. For me, the easiest, most simple battle plan is probably no reward without risk. Because it just is exploding wizards.
Oh yeah, the exploding wizards one is fun.
And this is actually crazy. Meg and I actually played this one. That's actually what we have going in there. And we forgot to do this, which is too bad because I, for example, killed Neferata. She's got 14 wounds.
Right.
I think she killed an Arachnarok. Web Spinner Shaman, 14 wounds. Some of these... Archeon has, 20 wounds?
Something like that, yeah.
That's kind of a lot. Now, it's just D3 on a 4-up, so it's not some kind of crazy thing, like roll that many dice and each that could go off. It's going to be between 1 and 3, which is nice, but the ranges on some of this...
Yeah.
If wizards start dying kind of mid-late game... Some wizards are going to hit a lot of units.
Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that, this is actually a very straightforward mission. That's the only funky rule. So this is like a nice one to ease into, actually.
Yeah, I think the same with the first one, honestly. I think
Geometric Pulse.
Pulse, that's a really fun one, because they're all just on a line in the middle. Your territories are very small. You naturally have to start a decent distance from each other, so that one I feel is very good to start with.
The last one I kind of was into was limited resources. This was a funky one. This is page 30. This is a funky one. You can't control an objective for more than 2 rounds in a row. It kind of forces movement. Now, it's got 6. It also has a very interesting layout. You can see here the dots.
Yeah, the kind of diagonal.
It has which we haven't really seen before. It's amazing to me how good the Sigmar design team is at taking this grid and figuring out all kinds of new weird places.
Yeah.
You'd think they'd run out.
Yeah, no.
I'm not sure I've seen a repeat in 4 Generals Handbooks.
No.
I'm not sure I've seen a repeat of this grid, the territories,
and they definitely got more ambitious with them. Like they definitely feel like
some of them in here are insane. This one, this one is every step forward. Every step is forward, which sounds like a Phil Collins song.
It does.
This one's pretty cool. In this one, you can't control an objective if you retreat. And if you made a charge, you count as 2.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Favoring aggression. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the ones that stood out for me, I don't know if it's like a really good one, but it sounds really fun, is Towers in the Tundra, where it's the 2 Wizards Towers. This sounds
I haven't
awesome.
played this one. I'm very excited.
I haven't played this one either. I don't think you'll see this one at events, because I think this one is a bit of a, like, let's just get our armies on the board and have a fun time. But like this one feels great.
This one feels super fun. It's very narrative-y.
Yeah.
You need a garrison, basically a garrisoned piece of terrain becomes the objective.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't looked at this one other than the victory points.
Like, if we were streaming a game for fun,
yeah, this
would be the first one that I went to of like, let's stream this one.
Yeah,
it seems hilarious.
Fun. Wizard's Tower, literally.
Towers.
I have the towers too. I have this old those towers.
Oh, you have the wizard, the big one.
We do actually. Kat has one of those. I have the little stone one too.
Oh yeah, okay.
But the big one we do have one.
That's super rare now. That tower. It's really expensive online.
Listen, we're getting close to the end here. Let's take a look at some lists.
Yeah. Okay.
So you and Meg have a game. Meg is getting ready for Old Town Throwdown. Now, we thought it would be a little clunky to have her swap in here with me, or have a third person. It's always warm in this room.
Well, we have the fly. The fly's our third host today, so
really,
Meg got pushed out by
the fly. It's definitely a good idea that we didn't do this. So this is what you're taking against Megan here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take a look at her list, and I'm going to kind of mansplain her list to you guys. But I will say that I am the person that's played against it the most.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do know it.
So I can mansplain it a little bit.
Yeah, so this is my list. Bone Reapers, 2,000 points on the nose. In Mortis Praetorian, so I get that really powerful free counter charge every opponent's charge phase, and it cannot be understated how good that effect is. My grand strategy is one of the new ones, Spellcasting Savant, so my Andorian Locust, who's my Bone Shaper, has to survive, which he almost certainly will because of the Mortis Guard, who are a big blob of 6. I've taken the Triumph Inspired. I mean, I'll never get it because I'm 2,000 points. So I have the Super Best Friends, which is Katakros and Archon, just teaming up together, being heroes. They're both awesome. Archon is a great spellcaster. Katakros is just a buffing support piece. And he's also pretty killy now. He's a pretty choppy boy if he's fighting heroes.
Yeah,
I like him.
Sorry, Steven. Actually, I want to interrupt you real quick for one thing that I want to do. I actually forgot to bring this up to you beforehand. Since we've realized that people sometimes listen to this. So real quick, you're going through your list in an intelligent way.
Yes.
But first, let's go through it in an unintelligent way where we just name everything. He's got Archon the Black, a Bone Shaper.
Yeah, who is my general with Dark Acolyte, so the first spell he casts is Unstoppable.
Yeah.
And the spell he has is Drain Vitality. And then he has the Artisan's Key, which when I use his healing effect, I get to roll a dice, and on a 3-up, I get to use it twice.
Yeah.
Then I have Katakros. Then the rest of my army is just battle line, so I have 5 Cavalos Death Riders twice. They have the Nadirite Blades, and then the command that they get. And then I have a unit of 3 Stalkers. One of the guys is the Dread Falchions, which is the big swords. And then I have a unit of Immortis Guard, which is 6 strong, so they're a reinforced unit.
I have the points wrong on one of these.
You do have the points wrong. The Stalkers are 220.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm not cheating.
Yeah, so talk to me about how and this is a 2-drop. Yeah. Everybody except for Archon is in a battle regiment, and then Archon comes down later. Archon and Katakros, talk to me about that. That's a lot of points. That's like $1,000 right there.
Yeah, I mean...
on an expensive army.
Yeah, I mean, but they're both really, really key pieces to the army. So Katakros makes everything else in the army better, offensively and defensively. He does a load of debuffing. He steals command points from you. He's no slouch in combat. Especially against heroes. He loves monstrous heroes because then he gets to use his spear and his shield to full effect. And he's really hard to kill. And then Archon casts 3 spells a turn, gets +2 to cast and dispel. He has Curse of Years, which is super fun. He also knows the whole Mortis and lore, so he's very flexible. I can put the right buffs on the right units.
Did they still have the one where when they get hurt, they...
Yep, Protection of Nagash. Yep, he still has that.
The ultimate Saturday morning supervillain spell.
Yeah, he goes full Skeletor. And then, the units, obviously the Mortis Guard are the real sort of... They're both hammer and anvil of the army. They are super durable, 30 wounds on a 2-up armor save. I can bring a whole bunch of guys back because Archon, Katakros, and the Bone Shaper all do recursion at the start of... Well, not at the start, but in the hero phase.
Yep.
The Necropolis Stalkers are my assassins. They can like move over terrain. They can run and charge. They're very choppy. And then the Death Riders, they're like my durable elite sort of battle line units for holding objectives, doing doing tactics, and they can kill. They can kill decently, and they're pretty durable. So yeah, it's a very elite army. It's only 22 models, which I love. I love small elite armies. It's very elite, and it's it doesn't turtle necessarily, but it does want to keep everyone within cohesion for buffs and effects.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I think Bone Reapers are really strong right now, and this list capitalizes on what makes them strong. Because obviously, what I'm not including here is Mortek Guard and Gothizzar Harvesters, which got hit really hard with the balance update. So this is kind of capitalizing on what makes the army book good right now. So yeah.
Now, before we look at Meg's list, we do want to get Saray's ad here.
Oh yeah.
He was wondering, I don't know if you've looked at Vanguard weapons. Vanguard are in kind of a weird spot. They have 3 weapon choices.
Right.
Ensorcelled Weapon, Fell Spear, and Demon Forge Blade. I sort of, you're not wrong, Saray. He says, what are the weapons I should take? Lances and Fell Spear seem like the obvious choice, but Ensorcelled Weapons also seem good too. So let's talk Vanguard for a second.
Okay.
The Fell Spear, I have the profile up here on my phone so Steven can see. The Fell Spear actually gets +1 to wound, and the rend goes up 1 on the charge. And then here's the Ensorcelled Weapon. I have to be honest with you, I actually like both of them, Saray, and I have built 6 Vanguard, 3 with one and 3 with the other. I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of like the Ensorcelled Weapon a little bit better, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I am running Undivided, and I can get rend. I have a very high likelihood of just having my rend go up anyway.
All right.
The Fell Spear, the Fell Spear, I just like the 5 attacks, and I don't know. I'm often skeptical of things that are extra juicy on the charge, because people like to put everything in that boat, and sometimes then you just get charged instead. But they're both good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 answers here. The first answer is Ensorcelled Weapons, because right now Hoarfrost is a thing, so you can just make those attacks rend-free, and then you're laughing. But more attacks, I agree with you, is always better. Now,
by the way, sorry, real quick,
right?
The Demon Forge Blade also has something with it. The Demon Forge Blade, it's just 6 or mortal wounds in addition.
Yeah, so like that's a cool effect, but I think you're right. There's still only 3 attacks, so I think the Ensorcelled Weapons is the way to go. But also, I think the other answer is build them with what looks cool, and then just say you're using whatever you want to use.
It's true.
Like WYSIWYG is just not a thing in AOS, and anyone who enforces it needs to shut up.
He's kind of right about that.
So build what looks cool, and then try each of them out and see which one feels the best. But I think in the current book with the current meta, I think Ensorcelled Weapons is the way to go.
But here's the thing: the Ensorcelled Weapons do look cool, but actually they all look cool.
Well, yeah,
of course.
So do a mix.
Vanguard in general. For Knights, I actually do like this the spear. I think for me,
Knights for Lancers. Yeah,
Knights I think are the unit Saray that you're going to be able to get to charge.
Yeah.
These guys are going to have to take charges. Something in your army is going to have to take charges.
Yeah.
That's just a fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why I like the Ensorcelled Weapon. And Vanguard are tanky. They're good to take charges. Okay, last but not least, before we wrap up here today, let's take a look at the list Steven's going up against. Now, Meg is going to Old Town. This is the list she thinks she's taking here. Meg has been really kicking butt with her Soulblight. She's been doing Vikros a lot. She's switching to Legion of Blood. She has also been playing Legion of Blood, though. It's not like she's totally unfamiliar with it. She's got Neferata, who she calls Nef. I hate Neferata. I also hate Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. I'm just going to go through and talk about all the things I hate in her list. We call this guy Derpo. But it's only funny a little bit of the times. Lots of the times there's nothing funny about this guy.
Yeah, dying to Derpo feels bad.
Yeah, he is a nightmare. She's got 2 units of 20 zombies. She's got a unit of 20 Death Rattle now. She's got 1 unit of 8 Eskurgan True Blades, which I think I have their True Land. So I've got the... I don't know.
What's Tree Land?
Tree Land. No, True Land. I think it was probably an autocorrect, which doesn't make sense. And then 5 Blood Knights. Also, I did forget to mention she has 2 Antorian Locusts, 2 Vampire Lords on foot, 1 with Amulet of Screams, which is good in this meta.
It's very good.
Punishes you does D3 wounds if you successfully cast a spell on that wizard. So, this list, I've played against this list a few times now. Meg is starting to figure it out, I think, and figure out my stupid spiders, who play a lot differently and kind of weird. I think if I do well with them in Old Town, it's just going to be because you've brought this up too. They're weird, and people who aren't used to it are going to be like, "What is this army doing?" It's pretty
intimidating to look across at. Like, it's a lot of big, scary spider monsters.
But it mostly just runs away. It mostly just
tries
to stay away from you.
People don't know that.
So you're looking at this list. What do you think of this list?
I mean, I love this list. Like, Soulblight, I mean, I said this before the stream. It's like they are a bit of a blight right now. They are so strong. I think the combo of Neferata and the Vampire Lord, you know, it's very similar to Katakros and Arkan.
Yeah.
It's just a very good combo. They benefit each other very well. It's surprising to see no Graveguard in the list.
Yes.
Graveguard are usually a linchpin because of just how killer they are. So I think this list is still very powerful. I think the number of bodies it brings is intimidating, and it will do objective games very well. But I worry about if the Zombie Lord can be brought down, where is the punch of the rest of the army?
Neferata, too, although she's not quite as nasty as him. And the Zombie Lord does have Cloak of Mist and Shadows, which gives him the 3-up unrendable. Neferata also, of course, can turn something unrendable. Yeah. And yeah, it's worth pointing out that Meg is really interested in placing well at Old Town in the painting category. And so she feels that her True Blades and her Blood Knights look especially awesome. I think otherwise she probably would include Graveguard. She's used them in the past. So I think that's probably why they're not there.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't feel that they look quite as cool as the True Blades.
Which is totally fine. Like, going to an event with the intention of, competing for Best Painted is a completely viable goal, and not taking what would be the most optimal choice for the gameplay is completely valid, and that's fine.
Yeah. Bryce says, send me a Skaven list later that can actually do something for me. We should.
I
Bryce.
can do that. We can do that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Bryce. The problem he's gonna have a little painting ahead of him because Bryce kind of painted like one of everything, which is not bad.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it just means he's probably got a little work. But Bryce can crank some stuff out.
I mean, they definitely feel good in the new General's Handbook.
He needs more little wizards, probably.
Yeah. Lots of little wizards.
He's got to pick a direction and go into it. Right now, he's like not quite going one direction or the other, and you know how the book is so weird.
It is weird. It's a weird book.
We did it.
Awesome.
We're out of time.
Look at us.
You've got a game.
I do.
I've got to make some dinner.
Yeah.
Gonna grind some meat, make some burgers. Anything else, Steven, before we get to talk a little bit about next week?
No.
So I think our plan next week is to talk about the new narrative book. You've borrowed it for a bit, read over it. I need to read over it. We'll reconvene and chat it, as well as any new fun releases that come out. Rolling out stuff with cities. We want to stay on top of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think more lists. We've talked about doing more lists because list building is fun, and it feels feels like a new frontier now. Everything's changed.
Yeah.
All the lists are different, so more lists.
Yeah. And we'll recap how this game goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'll actually take notes and some pictures and actually remember what happens, because I will not remember otherwise, because it's a week away.
If you are in our Discord, stay tuned and hang out in the game and chat area a little bit, because Meg and Steven will post some photos of the game, how it's going. If you're not in our Discord, please join. I think that's it. Hey guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.